Hare Krishna. I welcome all of you to our Bhagavad Gita class. Today we are on chapter 9, and the objective of this class is to enable reading of the shlok, to understand the meaning of the shlok, and to help understand the basic philosophy of Gita. We are on chapter 9. Chapter 9 is called the most confidential knowledge. Krishna says this is a most confidential knowledge, but as we know that in Bhagavad Gita, there are 18 chapters. And these 18 chapters are divided into 3 parts. The first 6 part consists of Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Dhyan Yoga. The last 6 part, that is from 13th to 18th chapter, that consists of Jnana Yoga. The middle 6 part, which is from 7 to 12, is Bhakti Yoga, and that Krishna says is the most confidential part of Bhagavad Gita. It is described that just like you have a jewel box made of gold, and the bottom part of the gold, the bottom part of the box is like first to 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. The top part of the box is like it can be equated to 13th to 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and the jewels which is inside the box is from 7th to 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Now, why this is called the most confidential knowledge, chapter 9? Because here Krishna is going to reveal himself. Krishna is going to tell about himself, tell who is he. He's going to reveal himself. Now, as we know, in a school, in a college, you have a very brilliant student who is an all-rounder, who is good in everything. Now, what will happen? We will have a one set of people who would be liking the person, and will be following that person. But there will be one set of people who will be envying that person, right? So the people who are actually following the person, they are like the devotees, yeah, following Krishna. And Krishna, you cannot reveal yourself in front of anyone, right? But you will only tell about yourself, the most confidential thing, to someone who is very close to you and who can understand you. So now this chapter 9, since Krishna is going to tell about this, about himself, there's a qualification to understand this chapter. Yeah, there's a requirement who can actually understand this chapter. So the qualification to listen to understand this chapter is that you have to be non-envious. You have to be non-envious, and you have to be faithful. You should have faith in Krishna, because only when you are non-envious and you have faith, then only you can understand this chapter and you can realize this chapter. Yeah, that is a qualification to understand this chapter. Like, when you have to pass 12th, you have to pass 10th before going to 12th. So for this chapter to understand, Krishna says in the first sloka that you have to be non-envious and you have to have faith, and we'll talk about that later. Now this chapter is divided into 4 sections. We have already covered the first 2 sections, and we are in the third section, which is called different type of worshippers of Lord Krishna. So we'll continue with this chapter. And as I mentioned, that the qualification that Krishna has told in the first sloka is you have to hear it from me. And only the people who are non-envious and have complete faith in Krishna will be able to absorb this knowledge and realize this knowledge, because he's going to open himself and tell about himself. Anyone who is envious will think, oh wow, so that is very important. Now here the story we talked about in the few classes back was about a Brahmin and a cobbler. So there was a once Narad Muni, he was actually going around, and he was on his way to Vaikunt. And on his way, he actually met a cobbler. So the cobbler said, "Oh, Narad Muni, where are you going? What? I mean, I'm so happy that I could see you. And where are you going?" He said, "Yeah, I'm going to Vaikunth." "Oh, you're going to meet my Lord. Okay. Can you please, when you go there, can you please ask him that how many more life I'll have to come to live before I can come to him?" Narad Muni said, "Fine, I'll ask." Now, when he proceeded towards Vaikunth, he met a Brahmin. Now, that Brahmin was a great Jnani. He had read all the Vedas. He had extreme knowledge about Vedas. He was really good in the scriptures from a Vedic perspective. So when he met Narad Muni, he asked, "Oh, Narad Muni, I'm so lucky that today I could have the honor to see you at my home. And where are you going?" He said, "I'm going to Vaikunth." He said, "Oh, okay, you're going to Vaikunth. Then why don't you do me a favor? Why don't you ask the Lord that how many more births I'll have to take before I can come to him?" He said, "Fine, I will do that." When he went to Vaikunth, he met Vishnu. He went there and he was talking to him. And then finally, when he was about to come back, he remembered the questions of Brahmin and cobbler. He said, "The way I met a Brahmin and a cobbler, and now when I'm going back, I have to answer them. So can you tell me, the Brahmin who is an expert in the Vedic knowledge, how many more lives he will take to come to you?" He says, "He will take millions of life." He says, "Millions of, but he's extremely expert in Vedic knowledge. How can you say that?" He said, "Yeah, okay. And what about that cobbler? He will come in this lifetime." Now he could not believe his ears. He said, "Okay, but why so? The Brahmin, he spends most of the time in reading the Vedas, and he has got a complete control over Vedas." He said, "Okay, do one thing. When you go to him, when you meet them, just tell them, they'll ask you what I was doing. Just tell them I was taking out an elephant from a needle hole. I was taking out an elephant from a needle hole." So now Naraji didn't understand. He came back. Brahman met. "Oh, Naraji, I'm so happy to see you back. Did you meet, did you go to Vaikunth?" He said, "Yes." "Did you meet him?" "Vishnu." He said, "Yes, I met." "What? Okay, so what did he say? Did you ask my question?" He said, "Yes." "He said that you will take millions of birth." "What? Oh, you would not have gone to Vaikunth." He said, "No, I did go." "Then tell me, what was he doing?" He said, "He was actually taking out an elephant from the needle." "That proves that you did not go. Can someone take out an elephant from a needle hole?" "Now I know. So that shows that you were not gone." Okay, you go ahead." Then, he came forward. Then he met the cobbler. He asked the cobbler, saw Naradji, and he was doing all Dandavat Pranam and all. Then he asked, "Did you go to Vaikunth?" He said, "Yes." "What was my Lord doing?" "He was taking out the elephant from a needle hole." "Oh, he could take out the elephant he started dancing." Now Naraji is surprised. The Brahmin, who is an expert in the Vedic knowledge, he did not believe, but how come this cobbler is believing this story? He said, "Do you believe that he was taking out the elephant from a needle hole?" He said, "Yes. My Lord can do anything. Look at this banyan tree. I'm sitting under this tree from ages, and look at that seed. When he can put this huge banyan tree inside this seed, then why can't he take out an elephant from a needle hole?" He said, "Yeah, that is right." So the difference between the Brahmin and the cobbler was faith. It is a difference in faith, because to understand this knowledge, if you apply your logical thinking, and if you have the ego that you are a pandit, you will never realize, you will never learn, you will never realize Krishna. So very, very important is, it is full faith, and then just surrender to him. There's nothing, no logic, nothing. It is just him. So that is the qualification to understand this knowledge. And then Krishna talks in the second shlok, he talks about the glories of the shlok that he is going to talk about from the fourth shlok of this chapter. And he defines this particular shlok as that this knowledge that he's going to speak is Raj Vidya. It is the king of all knowledge. Why is he calling the king of all knowledge? Because whatever knowledge we have learned in any universities of the world, whatever knowledge we have learned, none of this knowledge can help us to break the cycle of birth and death. All knowledge is for this material body. It tells us how we can glorify it, how we can earn, but it does not talk about how we can actually break the cycle of birth and death. And that is why this knowledge in Bhagavad Gita is the king of knowledge, because it tells us how you can break the cycle of birth and death. Then there are 8 qualifications that Krishna has given about this knowledge, the one that he's going to speak in chapter 9. He says it is Raj Vidya Raj Guhyam. He says Raj Guhyam is the most secret knowledge. Why it is the most secret knowledge? It is the most secret knowledge because this knowledge tells you that you are not this body, you are actually the soul. And this soul is a part of Krishna. This quote, Mamaivansho Jeev Loke Jeev Bhuta Sanatana. And what we do, we live our whole life for this material body. But this Gita tells us it's a Raj Guhyam. It is the most secret knowledge that you are not this body. Don't live your life for this body, but live this life for the soul. So it is, and do the activity which is meant for soul, because that is what will help you to break the cycle of bond of birth and death. So this knowledge is Raj Vidya, Raj Guhyam, Pavitram Itam Uttamam. Pavitram, why is it called Pavitram? Because even if you are the most sinner person, you may be the most degraded person, but then when you receive this knowledge, you become purified. Your soul becomes purified. You become, once you receive this knowledge, you become so purified that you have the capability of understanding what Krishna is telling. So reading this knowledge helps you to purify yourself. Pavitram Itam Uttamam. Uttamam means it is the bestest of all knowledge. Yeah, that is what it says. Then Pratyakshaavagamam dharmyam. This is Pratyakshaavagamam. Pratyakshaavagamam means if you take this knowledge, you can understand, you can realize the change in yourself, because this knowledge purifies your soul. And when this knowledge purifies your soul, then you are capable of understanding this knowledge, which will help you to break the cycle, the bond of birth and death. So this says Pratyakshavagama means you can see the change in the people who has received this knowledge. Pratyaksha, in front of you. Pratyakshavagam dharmam. This is the highest dharma. Now, as per Bhagavatam, what is the highest dharma? Dharma is duty. There is no equivalent word of dharma in English. Dharma doesn't mean religion. Dharma means duty. And what is the highest dharma? Is the dharma of the soul. And what is the dharma of the soul? As it is defined in Bhagavatam, dharma of the soul is bhakti adhokshaja. It is the dharma of the soul is to render service to adhokshaja. Adhokshaja is Krishna. That is the highest duty of the soul. So it is pratyakshaavagamam dharmyam susukham kartum avyayam. If you receive this knowledge, it gives you susukham. It gives you not only sukh, not only happiness, it gives you highest happiness. And then avyayam. Avyayam means eternal. Eternal means this knowledge does not die with this body. Your bank balance finishes with this body. But this knowledge, when you take it on soul, it also continues, because this is the only thing that you can take from birth after birth, which is the transcendental knowledge that you receive. So Krishna has defined the knowledge that he is going to give as Raj Vidya, Raj Guhyam, Pavitram, Itam Uttamam, Pratyakshaavagamam dharmyam, Susukham Kartum Avyayam. Yeah, so that is what he defines in the second shlok. And then Krishna says, as we have learned in the previous shlok also, that he is the cause of all causes. He is the cause of all causes. He is the maintainer and he is the destructor. He has explained. We have seen how Krishna has talked about the Purusha Avatara, where he has explained about the Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and then Chirodakshaya Vishnu, and how the entire cosmic things are formed, and how it gets created, and then how it annihilates. And the beauty of Krishna is, although everything, the creation of the cosmos and the annihilation, the destruction of the cosmos, it happens because of him. He did it, but still he says, I am aloof. All these things are done by my material energy. I don't have to do it on my own. All these things are done by my energy. And all these things are actually the cosmic, entire cosmos is the material world. And he is as he explained earlier in the previous chapter, that he is actually staying away from this material world in the spiritual platform, which is always eternal. It never destroys with this cosmic destruction, right? So Krishna says that the whole cosmic order is under me, under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again, and under my will, it gets annihilated at the end. But I am aloof. It cannot, I'm not a part of this. It is managed by my energies. Yeah. And then he says, this material world is one of my energy and is working under my supervision. This material world is actually managed by Mahamaya. Who is Mahamaya? She is Durga Devi. She is actually the Adhitatri of this material world. She manages this material world, and she does under the direction of Krishna. Yeah, the shlok is Mayadhakshena Pakriti Suyate Sacharachara Hetunana Konte Jagat Vipivartate. Then the question is, when everything is done by Krishna, as he has been explaining, and he is the cause of all causes, then, and he's the source of everything, then why everyone doesn't surrender to him? Then why everyone doesn't surrender and just follow Krishna? So he has explained that everyone, it is like, the eyes of people of the body. When we come to this material world, we are so much attached to the material world that we don't have time to look at Krishna. And then he says in the 7th shlok of this chapter, he says that when he appears in this world, then what happens? People, it is fools who consider Krishna as an ordinary human. Yeah, he says, avajananti ma mudha manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhutam maheshwara avajananti ma mudha. Mam is to me, mudha is fools. Who knows me as fool? Manushim tanumashritam. When I tanu is body. When I take the body of human, then what will happen? Those who are fools, they deride me. They think that I am human. Why? Why do they think so? Because param bhavam na jananto. They don't know my param bhavam. They don't know my supreme nature. And what is his supreme nature? He explains, mama bhutam maheshwaram, that I am the supreme lord of this entire universe, right? Then in the 8th shlok, he explains about Mahatmas, that but what happens, although it is fools who thinks when Krishna appears in the form of human, they think that he's a human. And then, but there are Mahatmas or Ananya Bhaktas, and what they do, they worship Krishna constantly with devotion. So he says, Mahatmanas tumam partha devim prakritamashita bhajantya ananya manaso gyatva bhut adim avyam. He says, but there are set of peoples who are Mahatmas. And who are those Mahatmas? What do they? Why are they Mahatmas? Because O Parth, bhajanti ananya manaso. They do my devotional service. But how do they do the devotional service? Ananya manaso, by one pointed attention. They are aware, they know, and what they do, they with one pointed attention, they worship me. Why do they worship me with one pointed attention? Because gyatva, they are aware. What are they aware? Bhut adim avyam, that I am the beginning and I am eternal, and that is why they worship me with a one pointed attention. And what makes them Mahatma? Why Krishna is saying that they are Mahatmas? What are the qualities that you see in them that they become Mahatma? He says the slok is Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Yatantascha Dridhamata Namastyanscha Mam Bhaktya Nitya Yukta Upasate. He says they are Mahatma because Satatam, they are continuously Kirtayanto Mam. They are actually singing my glories and they are glorifying me. And then Mam yatantash dridhvata. Dridhvata means with determination. They keep on talking about me. They keep on doing devotional service to me. They keep on hearing about me. They keep on chanting about me. They keep on doing service to me. And so they are the Mahatmas. Namaskyantasya Mam Bhaktya. And then they pray me. They offer their respect, obeisances to me with bhakti. Nitya Yukta Upasate. And they are always connected to me. So this is what we have learned till now in the last class. So we will start now with shlok number 15. Yeah, 9.15. We'll go to the 9th chapter, 15th slok. Please sing, repeat after me. ज्ञानयज्ञेन चाप्यन्ये यजन्तो माम् उपासते एकत्वेन पृथक्त्वेन बहुधा विश्वतो मुखम् ज्ञानयज्ञेन चाप्यन्ये यजन्तो माम् उपासते एकत्वेन पृथक्त्वेन बहुधा विश्वतो मुखम्. माताजी. चाप्यन्ये
यजन्तो माम् उपासते.
ज्ञानयज्ञेन चाप्यन्ये यजन्तो माम् उपासते एकत्वेन पृथक्त्वेन बहुधा विश्वतो मुखम्. So now Krishna has already explained. Now the topic we are reading right now is different type of worshippers of Krishna, and he has already explained about two categories. One who deride him when he comes in the human form, and he has called them fools. And the second, he has talked about Mahatma. Mahatmas are the one who are always chanting his glory, and his there. Then he talks about the third type of people, which are jnanis. He says, Jnana Yajnena Chapyanye. So he says there are others who are always absorbed in gaining knowledge. They are always trying to gain more, and they are in the yajna. Yajna is not only the sacrificial, the fire sacrifice that we do, but even to gain knowledge, and that too knowledge of Vedas, it needs lot of time. It is like a itself is an austerity. So he says jnana yajna chapanye, but there are people who wants to know me, try to know me by attaining knowledge. And yajanto mamupasa, they worship me by trying to get knowledge of Vedas, and they are of three types. And what are the three types? Ekatvena. Ekatvena is, they think they are, Ekatvena means one with me. Now, if you would have heard, there are people who say soham, that I am he. Ekatvena is I am he, and it is I am. They believe that I and he are same. Now, when you believe that I am he are same, now that is a thought that they have, that he and Krishna is same. But it is like an ocean and a drop of ocean. Now, a drop of ocean or water, a drop of water of the ocean will have same qualities as that of the big ocean, but a drop of ocean cannot be ocean. Similarly, a particle of gold will have all the characteristics of a gold, but it cannot be, it is just a gold, it's a particle, right? Similarly, the thing is, Krishna says there are people who believe ekatvena, soham, I am he. But then the good part is, at least they realize that they are not this material body, they are a soul, but they still have to go a long way to understand they are just a drop of water, not the ocean. So they are ekatvena. That is one category of people. Then he says prithakvena bahuda. Prithakvena means those who worship multiple gods, multiple devta, and are not able to differentiate who is the Supreme Lord. They believe this is also Supreme Lord, this is also Supreme Lord. So that is how they. So this is basically, that is another category of people. And the third category of people is Vishwato Mukha. Vishwato Mukham are those who actually worship nature. They admire everything created by Krishna. They say, oh wow, such a beautiful mountain, this must be God. Oh wow, this such a beautiful river, this must be God. So they actually appreciate the creation of God and starts worshipping that as God. So that is called Vishwadova. So he says, Jnana again, there are people who worship me via knowledge, and those can be divided into three types: Ekatvena, Prithakvena, and Vishwadamukha. These are the three types. Now, we go to chapter 7. Don't go to, I mean, if you remember in chapter 7, as we talked about, chapter 7 to 12 is Bhakti Yoga. Krishna started revealing himself from chapter 7. Chapter 7 was the first part. So it was a summary of something he told. And in chapter 9, he's detailing it out now, right? Now, chapter 7 and chapter 9 is actually running parallel. So in chapter 7, he has talked about who are the people who, he has talked about two things. Who are the people who never surrender to Krishna, who never come to Krishna? That's one he explained. And then he has also talked about there are people who comes to him, and that is a shlok. Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukrituna arjuna arto jigyasur arthati jnani cha bhartarshava. He says, Chaturvidha bhajante mam. There are 4 types of people who come to me, O Arjun. That is what he explained in 7th chapter. Arto, those who are in distress and then they don't know, they just run to Krishna. Jigyasu, who are in their search. They don't know, they are trying to find out. They know, is Krishna the Supreme Lord? No, I'm not sure, but let me find out more. So they are in a path of inquisitiveness. That is Jigyasu. Artharthi, those who are the need of wealth, they come to him. And then Jnani. Jnani is those who are in knowledge and want to get more knowledge. So these are the 4 types of people. He says, O Arjun, they come to me. And then he says, Tesham Jnani Nityayukta Ek Bhaktir Vishishta. And out of all those 4 people, Jnani is the best. Out of all those 4 people, Jnani is the best because at least Nityayukta, he or she is trying their best to understand me. They're trying, they're inquisitive, they know Krishna is there, and they're still in the path of searching, but they've not achieved, they're not sure, but they're still trying to understand me. So he says Jnani is the best among those 4 because at least he's in the right path. And then he says, so now here after this, so this Chaturvidha he explained in the 4th chapter, and lower to them is, then he says, now Jnani that he explained there are divided into 3 parts. This is Ekatvena, Prithaktvena, and Vishwamukho. Now let us go to the 16th shlok. Now 16 to 19 shlok, Krishna is going to describe in detail about Vishwatomukha, those people who actually worship the nature. Like, so let's read the shlok. Aham kritur aham yagya swadha aham aushadham mantro aham vejya aham agnir aham hutam aham kritur aham yagya swadha aham aushadham mantro aham evajya aham agnir aham hutam. Mataji. Aham kritur aham yagya swadaham aham aushadham mantro aham evajyam aham agnir aham hutam. Now here Krishna says aham kritur. Aham is I am kritur. Kritur means I am the rituals which is defined in Vedas. Who is it? It is me. Aham yagya, all the sacrifices that is performed is me. Swadha, oblations that we give when we are doing the yagya, what oblations we give, it is me. Swadha aham aushadham, and the healing herb that is given is me. Mantro aham, I am the mantra. Aham evajya, the ghee that we pour in the yagya is me. Aham agni, the agni which is there in the yagya is me. And aham utam, and whatever we are offering is also me. So let us read the English translation. But it is I who am the ritual, I the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant, I am the butter and the fire and the offering. We go to the next shlok, 17th. Pita aham asya jagato mata dhata pitamaha Vedyam pavitram omkara riksam yajurevacha Pita aham asya jagato Mata dhata pitamaha Vedyam pavitram omkara riksama yajurevacha.
पिताहम् अस्य जगतो
पिताहमस्य जगतो
माता दाता पितामहः
माता धाता पितामह
वेद्यं पवित्रम् ओंकार
वेद्यं पवित्रम ओंकार
सामयजुरेव च
ऋक्साम यजुरेव च. So he says, Pita aham asya jagato. Of us, of this jagat, of this world, I am the Pita, I am the father. And I am the Mata, I am also the mother. And I am also the Dhata, I am also the maintainer. And I am the Pitamaha, the grandsire is me. And in the Ved, the Pavitra Omkar, the Omkar is me. And the Rik Ved, the Sam Ved, and the Yajur Ved is me. So now in the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the 4th slok speaks like this. Sarvayoneshu Konteya Murte Sambhavanti Ya Tasam Brahma Mahadionir Aham Bija Pradhapita. So in the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we are in the 9th chapter now. In the 14th chapter, Krishna will declare that he is the Bij Pradhampita. If there is any living entity which is moving or non-moving, if it exists in this cosmic world, it is he who has, because of his seed they are there. So he is the Bij Pradhampita. That's why he says Pitaham Asya Jagato. Of this Jagat, whatever living and non-living entities are there, he is finally the eternal father. And he is the Mata because he is the one who takes care indirectly. He is the maintainer. He is the Pitama. So let us read the English translation. I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support and the grandsire.
support and the grandsire.
I am the object of knowledge,
The object of knowledge,
the purifier
fire,
and the syllable Om.
and syllable Om.
I am also the Rig,
I'm also the Rig,
the Sam
Sam,
and the Yajurved.
and the Yajurved.
In the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the 15th slok of Bhagavad Gita talks about, Krishna says, when he starts about Gyan, as I mentioned, from 13th to actually 17th is Gyan Yoga, 18th is a summary of Gita. In the 15th chapter, 15th slok, Krishna says, Vedaisha sarve aham vem vedyo. The summary of understanding, reading Ved is that he is the Supreme Lord. Right? So what we do, we read, but we don't summarize. We are not able to understand. Just like that Brahmin who was an expert in Ved, but had not had the faith of faith. So that is what the, so if someone says I have read Ved, I have the knowledge of Ved, then that person already knows that it is Krishna who is the Supreme Lord. Then we go to the 18th slok. Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi
Gatirvarta Prabhu Shakshi,
Nivasa Sharanam Suhit
Pasha Sharanam Shute,
Prabhava Pralaya Sthanam
Prayat Sthanam,
Nidhanam Bijam Avyayam
Nidanam Bijam Avyayam,
Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi
Gatirvarta Prabhu Shakshi,
Nivasa Sharanam Suhit
Pasha Sharanam,
Prabhava Pralaya Sthanam
Pralaya Sthanam,
Nidhanam Bijam Avyayam
Nidanam Bijam Avyayam,
Gatir Bhartya. Mataji, continue.
Gatirvarta Prabhu Shakshi,
Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi
Pasha Sharanam,
Nivasa Sharanam Suhit
Prabhava Pralaya Sthanam,
Prabhava Pralaya Sthanam
Nidanam Bijam Avyayam,
Nidhanam Bijam Avyayam. Now Krishna says, Gati. Gati means goal. The goal of life is Krishna. Bharta, I am the one who sustains everyone. Prabhu, I am the master. Sakshi, I am the witness. Nivasa, I am the abode. Sharanam, I am the refuge. I refuse. And Suhitam, I am the most dear friend. Prabhava, Prabhava means the creation. I am the creation. Pralaya means I am the annihilation. Sthanam is I am the place. Nidhanam, I am the resting place. Bijam, I am the eternal seed. Avyayam, which is always there. So basically, as we had when we have talked about the Purusha avatar of Krishna, then we had talked about the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And from the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu's navel, there is a lotus stem that comes up. And then in that stem, we have all the lok, all the 14 loks that we have is there. And at the top, there's a Brahma lok. At the top, there's a Brahma lok. The life of this cosmos, of this cosmos of this universe is equal to the life of the Brahma. And we had also learned about the time and space of Ranam. Now the thing is, what we do, what we are reading from 16th, 17th, 18th and 19th, we are talking about the Vishwastha, the universal nature. So what happens is, to know, to finally know and to arrive, become a Mahatma, when you are aware, what happens? There's a path. When all of us take birth, we are not aware, we don't have the knowledge. And all of us are in the spiritual journey. We are in a journey to search, but we don't know the ultimate goal. We are in the search of the goal. And this journey that we are in, we actually understand various things, like, we can understand. The first thing we can understand about maybe the the universal form that we talked about. Then maybe we can talk about multiple devta that we worship. Then we may talk about I am God. So that is a journey that we actually get into. Yeah. So when it's like a staircase, so instead of taking a staircase, when you know that Krishna is Supreme Lord, you can actually take the elevator and start worshipping Krishna directly. Now this is the 19th shlok. Tapamyaham aham varsham
Tapamyaham aham vashyam
nigrihanam utsrajami cha
nigrinami
amritam chaiva mrityuscha
amritam chaiva
sat satcha aham arjuna.
Arjuna
Tapamyaham aham varsham
aham vashyam
nigranam utsrajami cha amritam chaiva mrityuscha sat satcha aham arjuna. So here Krishna says, Mataji, you can.
Tapami aham vashyam
Tapamyaham aham varsham
utsrujami cha
nigrahamyat utsjamya cha
amritam chaiva mrityuscha
amritam chaiva mrityuscha
jaham Arjuna.
sat satchaham Arjuna. So Krishna here says, tapamyaham aham varsham. I am the heat. Tapa is heat. I am the heat. Aham varsham, I am the rain. And not only rain, nigrihanyam utsijami cha. I withhold the rain and I let the rain fall. In the summer, I withhold the rain, and in the rainy season, I let the rain fall. Amritam, I am immortality, Chai Mrituscha, and I am the death personified. Sat aham Arjuna, and I am both Sat and Asat. I am eternal and I am spirit as well as matter. So let's read the translation. O Arjun,
Arjun,
I give heat and I withhold and send forth the rain.
send forth the rain.
I am immortality and I am also death personified.
I am also death personified.
Both spirit and matter are in me.
Both spirit and matter are in me.
So till now, till 19th shlok, we actually learned the universal form, the different forms in which Krishna exists. Now, from here, from 20 and 21st, Krishna will talk about the worshipping of multiple devtas. So let's read the shlok number 20. Trevidya mam somapah putpapa
Mam somapah
putpapa yagge dishtva swargati prarthayante
swagatim prarthayante
te punyam asadya surendra lokam
te punyam asadya surendra lokam
ashnanti divyan deva bhogan
ashnanti divyan deva bhogan
te vidya mam somapah putpapa
te vidya mam somapah putpapa
yagge swargatim prarthayante
yajne krisva swargatim prarthayante
te punyam asadya surendra lokam
te punyam asadya surendra lokam
ashnanti divyan deva bhogan
nanti divyan divi deva bhogan Trividya mam somapa utapapa
Trividya mama somapah putpapa
yajna isva swargatim pratayante
yagge rishtva swargatim prarthayante
te punyam asadya surendra lokam
te punyam asadya surendra lokam
asnanti divyan divi deva bhogan.
ashnanti divyan deva bhogan. Now here Krishna says Trividya. Trividya means those who study the three Vedas. Mam, then Somapa. Those who enjoy the Soma Ras, Sompa. Put Papa means those who are finished all their sins. Put Papa. All their pap has been has been actually finished. Yagya Rishva, those who perform lot of yagya. And why do they perform yagya? Swargatim prarthayante, to achieve heavens. So he's talking about people who are te punya masadya surendra lokam. What happens to them? They will, after they have they have got lot of punya, when they have assembled, they have got lot of punya because of the various yajna they are performing, because of the various study of the Vedas that they are doing, because of the various piety they are doing. When they have achieved lot of punya, they punya masadya surendra loka, they go to the Swarga planet. Where do they go? After they have achieved all those things, they have got enough piety, then they get qualified to reach Surendra Loka. Surendra Loka is basically the Swarga Loka. And then what do there? Devyan Deve Deva Bhogan. And there they enjoy. So what happens? He's talking about the people who are now doing all the rituals, following all the rituals, doing lot of yagya, and they are very pious people. They are doing all the pious deeds. And because of the pious deeds they are doing, all their sins are actually, they have already it has got annihilated, it has already got finished. And when all the sins have got finished and they have actually accumulated lot of piety, then they get qualified to go into the Swarga planet, as Swarga Lok. And when they go there they enjoy. So let us read the English translation. Those who study the Vedas and drink the som juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful reactions, they take birth on pious heavenly planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. Right? So as was explained, that for the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, from the navel of the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, the lotus stem that comes up, and then there's there's lotus at the top where Brahma is there, right? And in this stem you have all the 14 lokas. Now the earth is in the middle. There are 7 lok above and 7 lok down. The third lok from earth is Swarglok. So basically it is Bhu, Bhuva, Swa. Swa is basically Swarglok. Mahas, Janas, Tapas and Satya. Satya lok is where, which is Brahma lok. And below you have Atal, Vital, Sutal, Rasatal, Talatal, Mahatal, Patal. So these are the lower loks that you have. And all this is basically a part of universe. And this, even the Brahma lok is a part of the material world. It also gets destroyed at the end of cosmos destruction, right? So those who are doing this, but their goal is to achieve the Swarg. When they are doing Yagya Rishtva Swargati Prathayante. What is the Pratna they are doing? To achieve the Swarg, they will get there. And when they get there, they will enjoy there. And then Krishna explains in the next slok what happens after that. So let us read what happens after that in the 21st slok. Tetam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam. Shine punya mrityulokam vishanti. Evam tai dharmam anuprapanna. Gata gatam kama kama labhante. Tetam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam. Shine punye mrityulokam vishanti. Evam trai dharmam anuprapanna. Gata gatam kama kama labhante. Tetam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam. Shine punye mrityulokam vishanti. Evam trai dharmam anuprapanna. Gata gatam kama kama labhante. Now then he says, Tetam. All these people who have gone to the Swargloka, Tetam Bhuktva. After enjoying the Swarglok, Vishalam, the great Swarglok, after enjoying there, Chhine punye. After the punya, the pious deeds that they have done, because they have accumulated the pious deeds, so because they become eligible to enjoy, and then they go to the Swarglok. But once their pious deeds are, like, it's like you are consuming your pious deeds when you are staying there, and when your pious deeds gets consumed, you come back to the earth, you come back to the Mrityu Lok. Earth is called Mrityu Lok. You come to the Mrityu Lok. And what happens? So what happens when you have this behavior? You are actually stuck in the cycle of birth and death, because you will go to Swarglok, enjoy, then come back again on the Mrityu Lok, and again you'll have to work hard. You have to do. So what is happening? You are actually getting into the bondage of birth and death by this achieving this pious deeds. And yeah, so let's read the English translation. When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure,
Enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure.
And the result of their pious activities are exhausted,
The results of their pious activities are exhausted.
they return to this mortal planet again.
They return to this mortal planet again.
Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment,
Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment
by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas,
by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas
achieve only repeated birth and death.
achieve only repeated birth and death.
So, if someone is following only the rituals of the Vedas with a mind of sense enjoyment, they will get the they will get the piety, they will get it, they will get transformed to enjoy the things, but then they will continue to be in the bondage of birth and death. They cannot exit the bondage of birth and death. And then let's go to shlok number 22. Ananyas mam
Chintayanto mam
ye jana parupasate
upasate
tesham nityabhiyuktanam
tanam
yoga khemam vahamyaham.
vahamyaham
Ananyas mam
ananyas chintayanto mam
ye jana parupasate
jana paryupasate
tesham nityabhiyuktanam
tesham nityabhiyuktanam
yoga khemam vahamyaham.
yogakshémam vahamyaham ananyas chintayanto mam
Ananyas mam
jana paryupasate
ye jana parupasate
tesham
tesham nityabhiyuktanam
yogakshémam vahamyaham
yoga khemam vahamyaham. Now this is from 20 to 25, Krishna is talking about the Devta worship, except for shlok number 22. In shlok number 22, Krishna is talking about what happens to those who worship me. So he says, Ananyas chintayanto mam. Ananya means, again we have seen in the shlok of Mahatma. He says bhaktya ananya manaso. Someone who is with one focus attention, with a focused attention, who is worshipping Krishna. Ananyas chintayanto mam. Mam is me, of Krishna. What? If you are with one focus attention, if you are doing bhakti of Krishna, ye jana parupasate tesham nitya bhiyuktanam. Those who are nitya, always connected and doing devotional service to me, what do I do? Yoga kshemam vahamyaham. What I do to them, I actually carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So what happens? Let's read the English translation. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. Right? So here Krishna again talks about the people who are the Mahatmas, who are actually doing bhakti to Krishna. What happens to them? Now he talks about, there are four important words here. Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. Yoga Kshemam. So yoga means connected to Krishna, right? Connected. Yoga means connection. So those who are connected to Krishna, what does it? Kshemam. Kshemam means protection. He gives protection. Now, how does he give protection? It is not an indirect protection. He says, Vahamya aham. I. Aham is I. I Vahamyam. I carry. I myself carry. I myself carry what they lack, and I preserve what they have. Now, we all know about story of Prahlad and Hiranyakashyap. Now, Hiranyakashyap, Prahlad, whatever happened, Prahlad said, no, Hiranyakashyap, you are not the Supreme Lord. It is Vishnu who is the Supreme Lord. Prahlad kept on saying that. Although Hiranyakashyap tried his best to kill Prahlad, but then Krishna himself, Vishnu himself protected him. Right? Yeah. So Yoga Shema Mahamyam. It is not that he sent one of his energy to protect him. He did not send XYZ person to protect him. He is capable. But those who do one-pointed, undivided attention, bhakti to him, he himself comes to protect them. We all know for Prahlad, what happens? He came as Narsimha. He came as Narsimha. He himself came to protect Prahlad. Think about the Pandavas. Think about the Pandavas. Krishna himself, he could not, it was no need for Krishna to become the charioteer. Right? He could have put someone as a charioteer for Arjun, but then he himself became the charioteer to protect his devotee. Yeah. So he says, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. I don't let others. Why is it so that he don't let others do it? He himself do it? Is because he loves his devotee. Think about a family, a mother. Yeah, what happens? He enjoys doing that. Think about a mother. Think about a family. Now, for the child, parents may not be capable of doing something, but they travel the extra mile to ensure that the needs of the kids are met. They are ready to sacrifice themselves. They are ready to sacrifice their happiness so that the child can actually live a better life. Right? Yeah. So he is Pitamaha Mata Dhata. And when you are a devotee, he does not let you taken care by others. He himself covers you. He himself protects you. You don't have to worry. Yoga Shemam Vahamiham. It is he himself. He doesn't let others do it. He himself protects you. And that's why he says, just like we know about Krishna, imagine when the before the Kurukshetra war started. Yeah, he himself went as a peace messenger to stop the war. He could have sent someone else, but no, he himself went as a peace messenger because he cares for his devotee. In Bhagavatam, Kunti Maharani, who was the mother of all the Pandavas, she actually does a very beautiful prayer. She says that, oh Krishna, when Krishna was after the war is over and Krishna is now about to leave for Dwarika, Kunti Maharani went running and she started crying and said, oh Krishna, her prayer is, please always put us in difficulty. I want to be always in difficulty because I know when I'm in difficulty, you are always with me. So I don't want you to go, but put me in more difficulty so that you are always with me. So that is a prayer. So basically, Krishna will not leave you. He himself, he will not send one of his energy to take care of you. He himself comes. And that is why he himself, will talk about that later. So, Ananya Chintayanto Mam, those who are doing bhakti, Ananya Chintayanto means full focused with Anya means others and Ananya means with full pointed attention. If those who are doing bhakti to Krishna, what will you do? He will yoga kshema vyahamyam, right? He will protect. He himself will come and protect us. And that is why he never gives bhakti. He's happy. Artho jigyaso artharthi. He's happy. You want artha, take earth and go away. Yeah. And what happens? We all go to God with a nice laundry list. Krishna, I have come to you. Give me this, give me this, give me this, give me this. We actually don't go to pray. We don't go to pray them. We go to get our wish list fulfilled. That is how we are. And he is more than happy because when you go to visit a temple and you give your wish list to the temple, then the Lord very well knows that you don't want me. You actually want the wish list. Go and take it and go away from here. And they are happy because when you get connected to them and you don't want anything but you just want them, then it is difficult for them. Then they start punishing you so much that you run away. They'll put you in so much distress that you run away, because as soon as once they accept you, then just like Arjun, he is ready to become your charioteer. He's ready to he's ready to be there. But all of us, we go to the temple with a laundry list. give me this, give me that, give me this. I give 10 rupees, give me, and ask demand for 100 of things. Yeah. And it means you don't want a God. What do you want? You only want your material wealth. You want the material wealth. You don't want him. Right? So that is the motive, that is the intention with which we visit the temples. Yeah. So then what will happen? Your wish will be done and you will be stuck in the material world, in the cycle of birth and death. Let's go to the next slok. येप्य अन्य देवता भक्त्या भक्ता यजन्ते श्रद्धयान्विताः तेऽपि मामेव कौन्तेय यजन्त्य विधिपूर्वकम् येप्य अन्य देवता भक्ता यजन्ते श्रद्धयान्विताः तेऽपि मामेव कौन्तेय यजन्त्य विधिपूर्वकम् अवधिपूर्वकम् येप्य अन्य देवता भक्ता यजन्ते श्रद्धयान्विताः तेऽपि मामेव कौन्तेय यजन्त्य अवधिपूर्वकम्. So we'll just read the translation and finish here. Those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way. So we'll stop here because this will take long explanation and we are already on time. So with this we'll finish our class today. Hare Krishna. Let's chant the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna devotees, Hare Krishna.